Welcome to day 24 of Shadowhunters month, and today it's in the top 10. I'm going to be talking about my top 10 characters in the show. Obviously I've already done one of these for book characters, but of course it's kind of natural that there's going to be different interpretations and different variations of characters in different adaptations. So you know, there are some characters I prefer in the books to their TV counterparts and vice versa, so I feel like it makes sense to do two separate lists. So yeah, with that in mind, you know, there are also characters in the books that I love that don't feature in the show. So there's just so much different variation in that. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of compare and contrast what characters I like more or less, depending on what form of media they're in, I suppose. So yeah, without further ado, these are my top 10 Shadowhunters show characters. So at number 10, it's Lilith. It's crazy that she's kind of made her way onto the list in just like 10 episodes, because she was kind of the antagonist of season 3A, and I feel like she was really underused when she was in the book, like the main villain of book 4. We didn't really see a lot of her, but the show really changed it up. We kind of saw her all the time. And Anna Hopkins gave a fantastic performance, which is probably the main reason I love Lilith as much as I do. She was a very well written villain. Anna Hopkins had this incredible presence, and I hope we see her again on the show because she was just so brilliant. A great antagonist. You know, she really caused a lot of damage in the 10 episodes that she's been around, and I love kind of her determination and her wit and her like true form as well. It was pretty awesome to look at. But yeah, I feel like a lot of it comes down to the performance by Anna Hopkins. She was just sublime in the role, and Lilith made for a really nice kind of fresh antagonist going into season 3. I really felt the threat she posed, and I thought she was a really epic villain, which I feel like they didn't quite get with Valentine until, you know, about halfway through season 2 for me, whereas Lilith made this impression right from the off. And I just love the kind of antagonistic side she brought to the show, and that's why Lilith just makes the list. So at number 9, it's Clary. I feel like you're always going to have some kind of connection to Clary because she's the protagonist and the one we follow throughout the majority of the show for the most part. And I found it really interesting kind of seeing that journey with Clary, starting off from being apparently a mundane, with just, you know, her mum, her stepdad kind of figure, normal-ish life, and then suddenly gets completely turned around, and seeing how Clary's dealt with that and fallen in love, you know, gone through all this stuff, and like, is Jace her brother? Is this guy her brother? Should I be with Simon? Should I be with Jace? And, you know, my dad's evil, all that kind of stuff. I loved seeing Clary go through that kind of journey, trying to find her true self, and I really connect with her kind of artistic side because she likes drawing and stuff like that, which I really connect to, so I love that about her. And I think Kat's performance as Clary has just gotten better and better. She really she had a lot of pressure on her, I suppose, to lead this show, and I think she's done a really great job with it, and her performances have just gotten better and better as the show's gone on. And I've loved seeing Clary become this really strong, intelligent character, and, you know, she's kind of lived through, particularly with like Jocelyn's death and stuff, a lot of stuff I think many people wouldn't survive or would let those kind of terrible things break them, but Clary never has, and I really respect that, and that's why I love Clary. That's why she's on the list. Number 8 on the list is Jace. I have mentioned in another video, I actually prefer Jace in the books to the Jace in the show, but that takes nothing away from Dominic Sherwood's performance, which is one of the main reasons Jace gets on the list, because I think Dominic Sherwood is one of the best actors on the show. I think he's fantastic, or like the emotional trauma that Jace goes through, which I really resonate and connect with. That's an aspect of his character. The tragedy behind that is why I really love Jace as a character, and the fact that he often puts on a brave face through it all, but sometimes he just can't. And for someone who you think is good at hiding his emotions, he really wears his heart on his sleeve, and I love that about Jace. And seeing him kind of fall in love with Clary and open up to people and learn to have really good friendships with people, Really endearing character arc for Jace so far, and I can't wait to see where he goes in 3B and the finale. But I really, really loved that journey for Jace, and Dominic Sherwood just nails it in like terms of delivering the emotional trauma and stuff. When Jace is allowed to be funny, he's really great. I wish we got more of that. That would have put him higher up, I think, if he was a bit more of a funny character in the way he kind of is in the books. But the show has really put him through the emotional ringer time and time again. He does not get a break. So you do kind of find yourself rooting for him for that. And it's just the awesome performance by Dominic that sells the hell out of Jace's journey, and that's why he's on the list. At number 7, it is Maris, or Maris Lightwood, however you want to say her name. I can never remember. I always change how I say it. But yeah, I didn't love Maris in the books much. I don't think we really got a lot of her, and we don't get as much of her in the show as I'd like, which I think is testament to how good the character is in the show. And Nicola's performance is just awesome as well. I think it's crazy for such a kind of secondary character in the show. She's had one of the most significant kind of story arcs and character arcs, I think. You know, the way she reacted when she found out that Alec was gay at the wedding and everything, and to where she is now, thanking Magnus for loving Alec and seeing how close they are and how much they need each other and how close she's gotten to Magnus is such a beautiful kind of story. And I think in the books it was Robert who had more of a problem with that, with Alec being gay. They kind of switched that for the show, which I quite enjoyed. And it just gave this beautiful story for Maris to for someone who was kind of, she was taught by Valentine really to be set in her ways, and set in this regime and stuff. So to see her character kind of break out of that, and really grow and become a really warm and loving person, after everything, seeing her in season 1 to seeing her now, it's night and day, and I love that journey. And I think it's just such a beautiful story with her, and the way she, really does love her children. I absolutely idolise about her. The briefish kind of potential romance we have with Luke going on, I actually quite like it. And I think it's really sweet, and I love that. And they can explore kind of older adult age relationships, whereas they normally focus on like teen relationships in Shadowhunters. So I really like what they've done with her. And her journey's just been incredible and beautiful, and that's why I love Maris. Number 6 on the list is Sebastian, or Jonathan Morgenstern, whichever you prefer. Again, a lot of this comes from Will Tudor's performance. Obviously, we haven't seen Luke Baines in the role yet, and I'm sure he's going to be brilliant and make me love the character even more. But I think a lot of this does come from Will being so fucking good in 2B, and when he's briefly shown up in season 3 as well. His performance was just incredible. He kind of blew me away again and again. He really got across that torment and that kind of twistedness that Sebastian has, and that's what makes him such an interesting character to me. I got excited enough just seeing him in the show because I loved him so much in the books, so it's probably kind of a bias there affecting a lot of my opinions of characters, but I love what the show did with him so far, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with him in the future. But Will Tudor just knocked it out of the park week after week as he got more and more sinister and kind of messed up and everything. I just really bought into that, and I found him a really effective and powerful villain. I'm always kind of sad that I'm not going to see Will Tudor in the role anymore, but I'm very excited to see what Luke Baines is going to do with it. I haven't seen him in anything, so I don't know, like his acting style or anything, but I'm really excited. But yeah, for such a good villain, it's kind of hard not to love to hate him, if you will, and that's why I love Sebastian, and Will Tudor's performance just added a whole other layer to it that I absolutely adore. Number 5 on the list is Maya Roberts. I really grew to love Maya a lot in the books, and I was so excited to see her come into the show. And when she showed up, when they announced Alicia's casting, I was like, oh my god, that's Maya. That's exactly how I pictured her. And that hasn't always happened in these castings for the show. So that kind of gave me chills when I first saw her, and I thought she's just perfect for the role. She is adorable, she's funny, she's intelligent, and she really kind of nails the emotional trauma that she's gone through as well with everything with like Jordan and everything. her past. I think Alicia gives a fantastic performance all the time. I'd like to see her used a bit more, if anything. Obviously, if you know me, you know how much I love Susie. And I never really connected with Simon and Maya potentially being together in the books, but I actually really like Simon and Maya in the show. I think they're really adorable. Obviously, I'm still like Susie all the way, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of it comes from the way Maya's been in the show and Alicia's performance, that I actually really like seeing Simon and Maya together as well. And I'd love to see Maya kind of interact with a lot more people. I think her relationship with Luke is beautiful. I think the strength that she showcases as a character is just awesome, and so inspiring. And I really do constantly root for her, and you know, I'd like to form a protective barrier around her because she's just a precious cinnamon bean. I just absolutely love her, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go with her story in 3B and beyond. Should be really interesting, but yeah, I just really find Maya quite adorable. She's a genuine good person that you really want to root for. Maybe some questionable decisions in her first few appearances in regards to how she treated Jace, maybe. But she's become a really light-hearted ray of sunshine that a lot of characters need, and I love that about her. And she can be that in spite of what anyone else has going on, and I just absolutely love that character trait for Maya. So at number 4, probably a lot of people's number 1s, but for me, number 4 is Magnus. Man, Harry Shum Jr. is fucking good, isn't he? I mean, I loved what he's kind of done with the character. He's really come into his own as like this absolute superstar, really. How much dedication he's given to the role is just incredible. He really sells Magnus to be this kind of ancient warlock who's seen so much and lost so much, and he's incredible at acting with his eyes. And I think Magnus really needs that, especially, you know, eyes are kind of his thing in terms of like his warlock mark. And Harry Shum Jr. is just sublime in the role. And seeing Magnus learn to kind of open up again when he met Alec, and learn to open up his heart after so long, and seeing just how loyal he's become to so many people, not just Alec, and not just Clary, but he's had these really special and beautiful bonds with so many different characters. And I feel like in many ways he is kind of the heart of the show, because basically everyone loves him, except Lorenzo, but he can go fuck off. But I love his relationship with Alec. Their story's just been stunning. The way he's kind of learnt to kind of accept his past and his flaws and things he's done wrong, I think is a really inspiring trait. And he's just such a kind of, quite literally, a very magical character, that your attention's almost always drawn to when he walks into the room. And that just speaks to the power of Magnus as a character. I think he's just awesome. He can be sassy, he can be smart, he can be sensible. And I love that Magnus can balance that. He's clearly learned to kind of be the best of himself, I suppose, after so long and losing so much. And I love that about Magnus. He's just an awesome character that you can't help but love. Number 3 on the list is Alec Lightwood. Alec's journey, probably for the main character, he's probably been on one of the most significant story arcs. Seeing him kind of very enclosed, and he keeps himself to himself and keeps his feelings to himself. When we first meet him, you know, he's kind of snappy, kind of miserable. And then, mainly through meeting Magnus, he really opens up, and we see him form these incredible bonds. He falls in love with Magnus, which is a beautiful kind of coming out story for him. I really liked how powerful that whole thing was, and how it's so easy to kind of take him into the heart. And I actually prefer Alec on the show more than I do in the books, mainly because Matthew Daddario is great in the role, but I love really actually seeing that journey Alec goes on. You know, this beautiful journey that we see in the books. To see it on screen, I think, is a really, really lovely thing. And yeah, his relationship with Magnus is awesome. His power-bonded bond with Jace gets me in the feels. The way he's really learned to kind of be really good friends with Clary and Simon. His, you know, love and adoration and loyalty to Izzy, I just absolutely do it. I mean, I love the whole Lightwood family, to be honest. I've mentioned that before. But Alec in particular goes on a very awesome journey. I always love seeing that these cold-hearted, apparently, characters sort of have their heart melted and really learn to open up. And the way Matt has shown that in his performance, and the way the writers have shown that in Alec as a character, and given him kind of more and more focus, is just, it's kind of sublime. What they've done with his story, really impactful. I know for sure it's helped so many people. Not like I can't really relate to that, but I can appreciate what Alec's journey has done for a lot of people, and that's why he's so high up on the list. Number 2 on the list, again the Lightwoods, it's Isabel. Every time she comes on screen, it's like fire and ice and magic, and she's a goddess, basically. You know, she's an amazing fighter. She's really strong, physically and mentally. The whole thing with the Yin Fen, I wasn't a fan of that storyline, but it was nice seeing her kind of hit her lowest point and then come back from it. That bouncing back, I really admire about her. You know, she's a really capable fighter. You know, she's intelligent, you know, like all the stuff, like studying the weapons and stuff. There's a lot of sides to her that you may not necessarily think that she has, but she's very layered. Emerald to be is fantastic, and, you know, pretty gorgeous, I think you may have noticed. And her friendship with Clary, which we didn't get as much of as in the books. I think the show does really, really well. Her loyalty to Alec and Jace and her whole family, really. And I just absolutely love the strength behind her. And she will absolutely die for someone. Even if she remotely cares about them, she would absolutely die for them. And I love that about her. And considering we know we're going to get some Sissy in 3B, I know for a fucking fact I am going to love her even more, because seeing her kind of genuinely fall in love, I think is going to be a beautiful story. You know, she had to hide the pain of, like, the affair between, like, Robert and that bitch. I've forgotten her name. And yeah, kind of deal with what Sebastian did to Max and being by his side. She's gone through a lot, particularly the Yin Fen kind of addiction kind of thing. But she always bounces back, and she'll always be there for you and be by your side. You know, when she comforted Simon after the whole thing with his mother at the end of season 3A. If you need a support, I think Izzy would always be someone you would turn to, and I absolutely love that about her. So number 1, probably surprising no one, is Simon Lewis. Obviously he topped my top 10 favourite book characters as well, which is just testament to how well he is portrayed in both the books and the show. Alberto is fantastic, one of the best actors on the show for me. Simon can be funny, he can break your heart, you know, he can be serious when he needs to. Not many characters I feel can get that balance, but Simon really does. I love seeing that in the show. It's kind of crazy that, you know, it was book 2 where he became a vampire, whereas in the show it was like 7-8 episodes he was a vampire. So they kind of rushed a lot of Simon's story in the show. I feel like it still worked, but that just means Simon had a lot thrown at him in such a short space of time, you know, dying and coming back, and being an outcast in so many different ways. And Simon is just kind of taken it in stride, and he still retains that sense of humour, and he still retains a lot of the essence of Simon right from the off, and he still, you know, he hasn't let so many bad things and becoming, in some people's eyes, a monster. He hasn't let that change who he is, and I think that's fantastic, and I adore that about him. His loyalty to Clary, I love. Him and Izzy in 3B are going to destroy me. Absolutely destroy me. I cannot wait. You know, the way he's formed attachments to, like, Maya and Luke. Jace, to an extent, and I feel like he's going to be, like, bros with Kyle or Jordan, which I can't wait to see a bit more of. He just always makes me smile when he pops up on screen, because I just love having that presence there. I really relate to him as a character quite a bit, more than any other character in Shadowhunters, I think. I just feel like we've been, like, really good mates. And I just... He's a very wholesome character and fills me with warmth. But he can absolutely break your heart, like the scenes with his mother and his sister at the end of season 3A. But in a similar sense to Izzy, I think he'd always be there for you. If he's on your side, he would stand with you through thick and thin. and he's just a brilliantly written and brilliantly portrayed character through and through. I just absolutely adore everything Simon stands for as a character. You know, that socially awkward nerd who's kind of become a hero in his own right, and he's come so far and he's grown really strong and capable. It's an awesome story, kind of. I don't want to say zero to hero, because I never thought of him as a zero, because I really related to him right from the off, because socially awkward nerd, it's me. But it kind of gives me hope that I could overcome so many obstacles in the way Simon has, because I relate to his story so much. But yeah, Simon is a brilliant character. I love basically every aspect about him, especially in the show. And I can't wait to see where his story is going to go in the future. But I know for sure I will be rooting for him, and it will probably destroy me. That's just the power of Simon Lewis, and that's why he's my favourite character on the show. So those are my top 10 characters from the Shadowhunters show. Let me know who your favourite characters are from the show, and maybe compare them to your favourite book characters in my other video. I'm interested in knowing what everyone, or who everyone loves in the show. I do tend to really like a lot of the villains, so it makes sense that a few of them creeped up in this list. Normally I'd like a lot more villains in TV shows, but I think it's kind of successful that Shadowhunters has a lot of great heroic characters, because sometimes the villains are more interesting. But the fact that in Shadowhunters we have some really interesting heroic characters and protagonists as well, is testament to how great all the characters are in this show. Except for Raj. Raj can go die. I don't like him, he's mean. And Lorenzo. Ugh, gross. And what's the other guy's name? Aldertree. I hated Aldertree so much. But yeah, let me know your favourite characters, and I hope you understand some of my reasonings for why I put some of these characters in these lists. And just because I left some characters out doesn't mean I don't love them, because there are so many characters. I found this really hard to kind of narrow down. But yeah, thanks for watching, and until the next video, see ya.